No, 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 no.
Just bear with me for a second and I will be with you shortly. Just trying to be sure that I'm doing the right thing here. So, yes, we are also on YouTube. Today is 3 of December 2022, and I'm hoping we will have another brilliant opportunity to study together. I may be asking your help more than I normally do today, because I may be missing my voice through the exercise, through the study, but let's move on and see how that will go. So let's just start with a quick prayer. Father, here we are once again, together and surrounded by friends from both rounds. In your name, we are here to try to learn a little bit more about who we are, the mediumship we have, and how we can use them to help. To help only for the sake of charity. To help not expecting anything back. To help ourselves. Be with us today and always. So be it. So let me share with you guys our little book. Yep, we have stopped on the item 8. So we're going to the item 9. Let me reduce that a little bit so I can read. Let me minimize that here. Yeah. So one more highly evolved world than ours, our spirits sing more frequently. The more humans approach the spirit nature, the easier it becomes for them to communicate with the spirits. It is because your bodies are so dense that it is rarer and more difficult to perceive ethereal beings. So as we progress, maybe it will take a bit of time, but we'll be interacting easily with the spiritual world. And following that item 9, we are led to believe that eventually, through evolution, we could be interacting almost all time with the spiritual world. Because today we are interacting 24/7 with the spiritual world. The difference is that we cannot see them or we cannot perceive them all the time. But as our physical body become more ethereal, become more evolved, perhaps we'll be able to interact with them like we are talking here. Perhaps what we are doing here is already a drill to interact with the spirits in the future. Because we are not physically together, but we are here anyway. We are talking, we are sharing opinions and everything. So as we move along, few other things will come that will become like a day-to-day thing for us, something that will become normal, and we will be more open to a more broader level of communication with the spiritual world. I believe will be like that. It's like today, a lot of people talk about extraterrestrial people, right? Extraterrestrial beings. Imagine if they pop up on every corner of the world. It would be a panic. It would be a panic because we would be afraid of it. But if we start to receive information gradually, if we start to see things here and there, if the science evolves and start to demonstrate a few other things, you know, perhaps if one day that happens, we'll not be that scared. We'll feel strange. We'll feel perhaps uncomfortable, but we'll not be scared. So as everything that happens in the world, and when I mean world, I mean universe, has a totally organized structure behind it, everything will happen in the right time. 10. It is reasonable to be frightened at the apparition of a spirit. Before you read that, even among spiritists, a lot of spiritists are afraid about spirits. I'll go even further. A lot of mediums are afraid about spirits. And that's one of the reasons why so many mediums also decide not to develop their mediumship, because they are afraid about spirits. So let's see what they have to say. Anyone who reflects on the matter will understand that a spirit, whatever it may appear as, is less dangerous than a living person. Moreover, spirits go everywhere, and you do not have to see them in order to know that they are at your side. A spirit who desires to harm someone can do so more surely without being seen. I will highlight that here so we can talk a bit. A spirit is not dangerous because it is a spirit, but because of the influence it can exert upon a person's thoughts, drawing him or her away from the good and pushing him or her towards evil. So let's think about the whole topic here. But before we think about that, I will ask you guys, are you afraid about spirits? Do you fear spirits?
No.
I don't see everyone here. I see only few faces here. Yes, but deep inside, I'm led to believe the only Pablo is telling the truth. You know, Pablo was like, yes, I'm really afraid about spirits. I don't know if you all can see him, but he was here. And of course, I'm joking. I know you guys are telling the truth. But yes, why do I fear spirits? Do we not know that we are spirits? Do you fear yourself when you look into the mirror? In some cases, I would say yes, should be advisable, but no, we don't fear ourselves when we look in the mirror. So why I fear spirits? Because I cannot control them? Funny enough, we cannot control incarnated spirits either.
It's true.
So why do we fear them? Do we fear nature? Do we fear a tree? Do we fear a river? There are things from nature. Likewise, a spirit is something from nature, something from God. So why do I fear them? And every time I see this type of topic, I remember my father. Because my father, who brought me to spiritism, actually, and he also said that many people say they don't believe in spirits. So I always invite the people that say they don't believe in spirits to go with me to the cemetery at midnight to have a meal. If they don't believe in spirits, means they don't exist. So what's the problem going to the cemetery, you know? And that's, of course, that's a joke. I hope he never did. I don't know. But yes, if they do not exist, why do I fear? So I see fear of spirits as a very positive thing, because I can only fear what I know exists. I cannot fear anything that does not exist. So even someone that say that I don't believe in spirits and fear the spirits means that deep inside, perhaps even unconsciously, he or she knows they exist. Otherwise, you would not fear. You have no reason for it. There's another thing here that got my attention, is that a spirit who desires to harm someone. So I would first ask you guys, can a spirit harm someone? What do you think?
Yes. Yes.
So now, as you said, yes, how can a spirit harm someone? Do you have an idea how can a spirit harm someone? Yeah, go, Yasmin. You're mute. I cannot hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to say there are several possibilities, and the two coming at my mind are that first, there are material effects from spirits less evolved who can interact with matter. And as we saw earlier in the book, a few weeks ago, a spirit throwing stones. I don't remember the page, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good example.
And the other way would be more intellectually, as it's said in the paragraph. Sorry, I'm like they can. It was a bit higher. Say a person for yes, the influence it can exert upon a person's thoughts, and influence, moral influence, or good bad influence, or or if it's not upon us, upon someone else who is more influenceable. I'm not sure about the vocabulary, and who will interact with us in a bad way because of those spirits. If you understand what I say, I'm sorry, my English is not very.
No, yeah, that's a good example too. So, hi, Liz.
Hi there. I can recall quite a few episodes. Last year, my mother was pushed against the wall. When she was sitting in a chair, she was pushed against the wall by a spirit. She also, a few days ago, well, even last year, spirit was, pressing on her chest when she was asleep, trying to, she found it really difficult to breathe. And her cat, Michu, was there trying to protect her. 2 days ago in the evening, she felt a spirit lying at the end of her bed. And on 2 occasions this last week, she wears an emergency necklace around her neck. If she needs help in an emergency, it goes through to the control room, and she always places it when she sleeps on her bedside table. On 2 occasions this last week, it is not due to malfunction. They've checked that. Spirit made that necklace ring, and so the control contacted Mum's neighbour, and Mum woke up to her neighbour trying to wake her up at 3 in the morning, and then again after that 2 days later, 1 o'clock in the morning, because the necklace had alerted her that Mum was in trouble, but Mum was actually asleep. Another version for me is the day before my son died. I was actually in a bar, four doors up from where my mum lives, and my husband at the time was there. And as I was walking back home, I was pushed from behind by a spirit. There was nothing else in the road. It pushed me down and I limped home, and I still have the scar on my knee today to prove it. It went right down to the white flesh and it's still there. I thought it might have been spirit warning me that my son was going to die the next day, but I've checked with my father and, you know, family and spirit, and it wasn't a warning. So yeah, I can relate to quite a few incidences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to add something on top of everything you said. All of you said, actually. Everything can be used for good or for evil. Magnetism, as example. You can utilize your magnetism to help or to harm. You can utilize your thought to help or to harm. So when we see a phenomena happening, it's not because this is an evil phenomena. No. The mechanism behind this phenomena is neutral. The physics behind the phenomena is neutral. The will who is manipulating the mechanism is the difference. So yes, a spirit can harm someone. Of course, there are limits to everything. Of course, there are surveillance of a higher spirits above all. If something is happening, it's because there's a reason to happen. As we've spoken here a few times, could be the wake-up call. Perhaps we try to find different reasons for it. Perhaps we ignore it. Perhaps we don't know where to find information for it. But there's always a reason behind it. When I'm saying that can be used for harm, it's not to scare people, no, but to give the right level of importance to what we need to do, to what we need to change within ourselves, with our habits, in our home, in our family, because that is what creates like a shield. Hi, Munir, help me out.
No, I was just going to call the attention to the fact that many of the ways that people said spirits could harm, at least the examples that were given here, they were actually physical effects. You know, tip over, pushed, and we've just read that, you know, for that to happen, it has to have the permission of you know, higher spirits. And there's a purpose behind that. So if it happens, you know, it is for a reason, for a purpose that perhaps we're not seeing at that moment. But of course, yeah, there are psychological effects as well. I know a medium, he went to sleep, he was traveling actually, he went to sleep at a friend's house and he woke up 2 o'clock in the morning and under the impression the whole room was on fire. So he jumped through the window. When he realized, when he fully woke up, he was in the middle of the road in his pajamas and nothing had happened. I mean, were he in a higher flat or something, he would have died if he jumped in the way he did, sort of without realizing. But he was induced to believe that the whole room was on fire when he woke up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good point, Munir. And there are other possibilities as well. For example, when one spirit becomes so attached to an incarnated spirit for any reason, that could be I like to drink. I will find someone that likes to drink. I will be with him because I like to absorb the fluids. I like to smoke. I'll be with someone that likes to smoke. I like to use drugs. I'll be with someone, and that can go on and on and on. Or could be some debts from the past, or there's a massive number of possibilities. He's harming. This spirit is harming the incarnated spirit. That's what we always think. That's what we are always afraid of. The Malefico's world obsession. Very little understood, very little studied, very little comprehended, and everybody's afraid about that. I don't want to be obsessed. But we also incarnated, obsessed spirits. So there are so many things. But what I wanted to highlight it here is what I said initially. And the spirit, yes, can harm us if we allow that to happen. If we do not do what we know we must do. And from the group that are here, I believe there's no excuse anymore. I don't know. You're not listening. Or you don't want to listen. But there's something very common as well. You want to hear what we want to hear. You may listen to a lot of things, but you choose. You are very selective in what you want to take on board. But I don't believe at this level of the study or through the other studies we have through SSL, anyone could say, I did not know. No, that is not possible anymore. I may decide not to hear, is a different thing. I'm not particularly agreeing in what I'm listening, is a different thing. Or I don't want to stop to do what I'm doing because I like, and that's a different thing altogether. But we all have the means to create that proper shield that prevents that level of intervention from the spirits. None of us are totally protected against it all the time because we are not perfect. Simple as that, we're not perfect. But we have the tools already to, when I open a crack, to fix that crack. If I'm opening a crack too often in my shield, what can I do? You're choosing to do. You're choosing to ignore the right advice to do what is right. And then another crack in your shield, another crack in your shield. And every time you have a crack in your shield, you're allowing more influences to come closer to you. If that's what you want, so be it. We are not here to convince anyone. But with what we study here, with what we are offering here, you will have tools to evaluate yourselves, to minimize the amount of cracks you have in your shield, and how to repair your shield. Right? So let's move on.
William, can I just add some comments, please?
Sure.
My mother, with regarding the spirits that were causing her neighbor to get up, you know, in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, and have to get dressed and go and check on my mum. I told my mother she closed herself down as a medium when she was 16 because she was working as a waitress and sleeping upstairs in a Tudor building with another waitress when the bed started moving across the room and the candles were, you know, going all over the room, and that frightened her. So she closed herself down. So I said to her, well, perhaps it wasn't a particular nice way of trying to get attention with, you know, disturbing the neighbor at that time in the night and preventing her having a good sleep. But the chances are that we have a very desperate spirit, knowing that you know, he or she can talk to you and maybe desperate to get a message to someone. And the reason I said that to Mum, and also if she could ask if she could help, which she's a bit of afraid of, is because about 18 months ago, my daughter lost a very good friend, a musician, and within a week of him passing, he was flushing her toilet. And I'd never heard of spirits flushing the toilet before, but yeah, it was keeping her awake. And it turned out to be her friend Richard, who was desperate to get a message to his wife to let her know and the family that he was fine, that he was all right. So that's what I think, although it's inconsiderate, that's maybe what this spirit is doing, you know, in 2 consecutive nights. We're trying to actually get this alarm going. Regarding me walking back from the pub, I'm pretty sure I picked up a bad entity from the pub, I should think, as well. Because I'd had a couple of drinks before Christmas, you know, that would have attracted it. So I'll agree, I could have attracted that one.
Liz, we attract spirits all the time.
Yeah.
We have the right to choose the type of spirits we want to attract. It's impossible not to attract not good spirits, not so good spirits. It's impossible because our mind always fluctuates. Ooh, I like very much that shirt that Liz is wearing. I really would like to have one like that for me, you know. She do not deserve that shirt, but I do. That's good enough to attract someone that's vibrating on that kind of thought. I'm using that as an example because I don't need to have an evil thought to attract someone that's not so positive. But if I do have an evil thought related to alcohol, drugs, sex, you name it, I will attract spirits in that level of vibration. And when we attract the spirits, they will be with us for a little longer than we thought. Sometimes days, could go even beyond that. So we always have to refrain to what Jesus told us. Pray, be vigilant, do charity, do good. That will, if we do that in a certain frequency in our lives, we are always boosting that barrier between us and them. We are always keeping our shield, like I like to say, intact or strong enough to protect against serious situations. And that's math. When you add 2 + 2 become 4. If you don't, you have 3, you have 2, you have 1, you have negative numbers depending on your equation. So we all have that right. And that's very, in my opinion, that's very normal. Even the person that tries to do right all day long, the whole week, eventually he or she fail. She will think about something that's not positive. She will think about something nasty about someone, about a situation, about a country, about something that's not positive according to what we know is right. And that's enough. Something that I like to say, even when I'm having studying with teenagers, is that it's very common to swear, right? It's very nice. Some people even like to add a swear in the sentence because make them feel better, make them feel stronger, make them feel they are more than we are. But words are not only words. If you have the habit of swear, every time you do, you are attracting that level of vibration. Oh, well, you're going too far. Believe or not, it's not my problem, it's yours, right? but you are. Oh, I want to see that type of movie. Let's say a porno movie, for example. What are you gaining for this type of movie? I went to a very bad example, like I'm going to a porno movie, like, but there are movies that are not on that level, but they are not positive either. What do you think you are attracting from that? So we have the choices. We have the choices. And nowadays with the internet, that's a powerful tool, our choices become even easier because we can locate everything we want. Everything is there. It doesn't mean that you need to use everything. It doesn't mean you need to go everywhere, right? And honestly, if a spirit is doing something for me to harm me, it's because I deserved. I deserve from my past. I deserve because I was not attentive enough with what I was doing or what I am doing at the moment, at the present. Or it is a wake-up call again. I need to reflect with things in a different way. The most important is going back to Pablo. We don't need, sorry, Pablo, but we don't need to be afraid about spirits. We need to understand them. We need to understand the mechanisms. We need to understand what to do, how to do, when to do, the reasons why things are happening. That's the key. Because we only have fear of something we do not know. Let's think about a cooking top in our kitchens that everyone has nowadays, right? Are you afraid about the cooking top? Nope. Why not? Because you know how to use. Now let's be a little bit of CSI here. Let's take the cooking top. Let's go to the middle of the jungle. Put over there for a couple of aborigines. Do you think they will be afraid of it? Probably they will. What is that? What's it going to do with us? And for some reason, they managed to switch on the cooking top. But they are very curious. They come with their hand and they put right on top of the part that is becoming red. They do not know why it's getting red, but they want to touch. What's going to happen with their hands? They're going to burn. After the first one burned their hands, they run for their lives. And that becomes something very, very dangerous. Hi, Munir.
Hi, Guilherme. I just want to share that my perception is that sometimes people are afraid of the circumstances, not exactly of seeing spirits. Because if you're walking along an empty alley at night, you're afraid of spirits and you're afraid of the living as well. Because you may get scared by a cat or something. If something happens out of the blue, you get scared. So you're afraid of anything. But in broad daylight, you are on a busy road. Someone says, are you afraid of seeing a spirit here in the middle of these people? No, you're not, because, it's a normal circumstance. So at night, whoever is there, incarnate or discarnate, if it's dark, if it's a sort of, scary situation, you might be afraid of anything, including animals, So I see that sometimes people are afraid because they associate seeing spirits with night, dark, getting scared, getting frightened by, a sudden appearance of someone in front of them, sort of thing. But in the end of the day, who would be afraid of seeing, depending on the circumstance, a living person, an incarnate person, just as much as, a spirit.
Good point. Very good point. Hi, Cleo.
Hi. I just want to mention something that happened with me a few months ago. I always said when people ask me, have you ever seen spirits? And I always said, I have never seen one. And actually, I have never seen something that made me believe that could be a spirit. And then I was at a care home a few months ago, and I was on the top floor, and all the residents who are there, they are bed bound, so no one can walk on that floor. And I was there during the night, where I work a few nights a week, and then I saw something moving on the hall, and the light was on. The light was on, so there was no one there, and it was very clear what I saw, and I was very afraid. I actually frozen and I could not move, and I thought, well, I can't be afraid of spirits, but because I never saw before, and also I decided on my mind that I wasn't able to see any spirits, so I already decided that I wouldn't be able to see anything. So when I did, I was afraid until for a few moments, and then I could move. So I just want to say that.
Mm-hmm. And you run for your life, right?
I actually did, and I just froze and I couldn't move.
Even worse. Oh dear. But I need to say something to you. You saw lots of spirits before. By the time you open your eyes, after you were born, you saw lots of them. You saw incarnated spirits. They are spirits. You also saw, mainly when you were an infant, discarnated spirits. It happens very, very, very often. And sometimes the kid does not even know how to make a difference between who is here and who is there. It's very common. Very common. I understand the fear of the unknown. I'm not saying I would not be scared. If an ugly spirit just pop up here and beside me, chances are that, oops, what the hell? What is that? You know? My first reaction would be that it's human. But then, what can I do for you? Because I know the structure behind. I know what is behind. So knowledge is power. It's power to give us confidence, to know what we need to do, what we are there for. That's why we have to study. That's why a medium needs to study for life. That's why perhaps I'm not right to say that, but I consider different degrees of mediums. And my degree is based on the commitment of the medium. Commitment with the duties, and mainly committed with the studies. Because no one knows everything. And every time you study the same subject again, you learn something else. You realize that you missed something. I think it was last week that I mentioned something that Charles was saying that I said, well, I never noticed. I think it was last week I said that. I learned something studying with you guys here. And I can guarantee that I went through this book several times. But only last week I was able to get that insight. So if we study seriously about the spirits, about the spiritist world, about mediumship, yeah, I can have that jump. But then what we know, what we've been prepared to, will help us to face the situation face to face. Hi, Ebony.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to add that, you know, it's important to remember that spirits who interact with the material world and cause physical effects and are usually less evolved. They're also very intelligent, and at least in my experience, every interaction I've had with physical mediumship or physical interactions with spirits is for the purpose of scaring me away from studying spiritism, engaging with the spiritual world, getting on your spiritual journey, that kind of thing. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why are we afraid? Are we afraid simply because the spirit is making us afraid, or are we afraid, you know, are we going to allow the spirit to continue, you know, causing us to be afraid so that we get away from our path? At least for me, it's to the point where every time I see some kind of physical effect happening around me, I just ignore it. Because like I said, it is always coming from a scary place. For me, the latest episodes is I feel I get the presence of somebody lying next to me almost every night I go to sleep. And during intervals at night, they blow air into my nose. It's like somebody's lying next to me, blowing air into my nose. And it's very scary because it wakes me up. And even when I'm awake, it's happening. I've gotten used to it now. And so I'm no longer afraid of these kinds of manifestations. So again, I think it's important for us to ask, okay, if we allow the spirits to scare us, then what happens to us? We're not going to continue with our studies and things like that.
Ebony, you are scaring me. Do you believe that? Well, why I said that to Ebony? Because yes, I could be scared by what she said. Would be normal to be scared, yes, if I did not know what is behind. When you start to acquire the level of information, you start to analyze what is happening. You start to understand what is happening. There's a purpose behind that. There's a reason behind that. So, yeah, we all can face situations. We all can be scared from time to time, but we all can find information not to be scared. And I have a personal opinion. Everything will happen to you not to be present in the mediumship meeting, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning. I have a party, I have a birthday party, I have my dog fall ill, I have my neighbor screaming, I have everything will happen to prevent you to attend to your commitment. And it's always like when you have to leave your home to go to your meeting, when you have to switch on your computer to join the meeting, when you have to start your commitment. In those minutes before, something will happen to deviate you from what you have said, yes, I'll be part of it. This will last as long as you are not really sure that you want to be part of it. When your heart is really sure that's the way forward, that stops. I'm not making a comparison with what you said, Ebony. It's a bit different subject here. I've seen so many examples over the years. Well, I want to, well, you want to, but you didn't. There are priorities and priorities. I'm going to the mall because there was an event. It's not a priority, not for me. But the spirits that are around us, they know. If they push a little bit, it will be enough to that person not to go. If it rains a little bit, it's enough that person not to go, because she went in the morning to make a nice hair. She cannot get it wet on the afternoon. Just to give you an example. I cannot use that example to everyone. For example, me, I'm getting bold, so it's not going to work for me, that example. But there are so many examples. So many examples. And I remember the infants, in the very moment you have to leave your home, one of them trip and fall, had a little bruise and start screaming, "Don't leave, Dad. I'm hurt. You're gonna leave me here?" Of course, as a parent, your heart is really aching. And you look at the that's just a bruise. I will leave. Of course, if he broke a leg, if you need to go to hospital, is a different thing. But I'm going to give an example here. I don't remember if I gave that example already. My son, he had some problems when he was very young. And one day of the mediumship meeting, my son had that situation. And I have made my mind, no, I will not go to the meeting. My son, he was like what, 7, 8 years old, maybe. So no, I'm not going to the meeting. I even told the people, no, I'm not going to the meeting today. I can't. My son is having an event. He called me and he said, I want you to go. The spirits are waiting you in the meeting. I want you to go, Dad. I went to the meeting with a very small heart beating in my chest, because my heart was telling me to stay with my son. But I went to my commitment and I did not regret. I did not regret at all. So it is all down to our convictions. I cannot transfer my experiences, my convictions, what I was able to acquire so far. It's not much, but what I acquired so far. But everyone has the same potential. Everyone has the same will. We just need to exercise it. And when we exercise our will, I will be part of it. I am, no, I will, I am committed to this, to that. In our case here, we're talking about mediumship. I'm committed to a mediumship meeting. Those events will stop. So every time we have a situation like that, we need to ask ourselves, what is he trying to tell me? Is he trying to tell me that I need to study more? Is he trying to tell me that I'm not committed as I think I am? Is he trying to tell me that I'm still not 100%? Because if I was 100%, could rain, could the neighbor dying beside me, we'll go to the meeting. You're dead already, so I won't be here to help. Come with me to the meeting then. You know, and that's my personal point of view, right? So, let's see what is the explanation, the comments that Kardec made for us. People who are, what time is it? People who are afraid of the dark and of being alone rarely comprehend the cause of their fear. They would not know what to say if asked what they are afraid of, but they shouldn't certainly be more afraid of meeting other human beings than spirits, because of an evildoer is more dangerous while alive than after death. A lady whom we know saw an apparition in the night in her room. It was so well defined that she believed that there was actually someone present. Her first sensation was terror. However, upon assuring herself that there was no one else, she said to herself, "It looks like it was only a spirit, so I can sleep in peace." Do I believe that I'm alone at home here right now? Definitely not. Do I believe I'm alone when I'm going to bed to sleep? No. What do you believe then? I believe if they are here, it's because we have something to do together. Maybe to work together. Maybe he's needing help, in need of help. And that's what some meeting is for. We have a couple of minutes. So now I'm not going to move to the next one because otherwise, you see, guys, today we stayed in basically 2 topics. That was a very nice today for some reason. So I'm in the mediumship meeting. Ooh, if I'm in a mediumship meeting, there are spirits there, right? What's going to happen with the spirits on the meeting? Well, they will be helped to the meeting. What about after the meeting? Will they come with me to my home? Wow, I'm doing a virtual mediumship meeting. Will they stay at my home because I'm at home? To start with, there's no difference if you are at home or if you are in the spiritist center. Because if the spirit's one, he will follow you to your home anyway. Depending on the situation, of course. But he will follow you. So what is the difference? What can make a difference is how we are prepared for. This is what makes a difference. How I see the mechanism of the meeting, how I respect the mechanism of the meeting, how I respect everything I learn and put in practice. Hi, Liz.
I think the best we can do, other than asking our spiritual benefactors for protection at any time anyway, is to aim for impeccability. If you lead an impeccable life, or as best as you can, with your best intentions from the heart, those that are likely to just be passing by to irritate you get bored and they move on somewhere else because there isn't anything to attract them, unless they're there to learn for their benefit.
Yeah, totally. And if they are around you, it's not by accident. They are there to help you, or they are there to get help. And even those that are there to disturb you, I understand they are there to get help. Because sometimes when a lot of spiritists, when they see any spirit there to disturb you, they want them to get off. They want to do something to the spirits to go away. They don't even consider to think that the spirit that's here trying to disturb me, what he is doing in reality, he's having an opportunity to be helped. Sometimes they come to really disturb you. And in the end, they live better because they start to be acquainted to what you study. They participate of the meeting. They've been helped by our benefactors. They may be there for a little longer trying to disturb you, but every time they come, they learn a little bit. They get a little bit of energy, a positive thought. So even when they are there to disturb you, in my view, we need to see them as crying for help. If you ask them, they'll say, no, they're just disturbed. Yes, that's what they believe. But I believe that when they have the opportunity, perhaps in the beginning, the intention was just to disturb that person. But then the universe works around and use everything to help the person that is suffering that influence and the spirit who is doing that influence. How many times over the years we see a spirit coming to a meeting, trying to disturb, to stop the meeting and everything else. And then sometime later, they come to thank the meeting. Thank you for what you did. Can I stay and help? So to me, there are two types of influence. The positive and the one asking for help. So I'm talking a lot, and I'm glad I did. I was in doubt if I would be able to talk that much today. I will finish our study here. So let me stop sharing my video. And as Ebony, she scared me to death today with her report. I would like to ask Ebony to do our final prayer.
Sure. Merciful Jesus, benefactors, Almighty God, it is with a grateful heart that we thank you for this opportunity today to study together as a family. And we ask for your continued guidance and protection, not just throughout this week, but all the days of our lives. May all those who were not able to attend for whatever reason also be blessed. And we pray that what we have learned today, we exercise it in our lives as we aim to improve ourselves, thereby becoming better co-workers in the work of love. Once again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and may you continue to watch over this work. So be it.
Well. That was really, really nice. And I'm hoping to see you all again in the very near future. Let's have all a grateful and brilliant weekend. All right. Looking forward to see you all again in a week's time. And thank you very much for your participation. And as I always say, this is a study. This is not like a lecture. And when you guys participate, this is what makes this a study. All right?
Thank you.
Nice weekend.
Have a nice week. See you.